like to start the meeting of the Community Appearance Commission for February 24th. I will do a roll call. Please identify yourself. John Coyne, George Edwards, Bethany Good, Jeremy Holderfield.
Here.
Judy Hotchkiss.
Here.
Amanda King. Rosalba Ledesma. Anton Musaf.
I'm here.
Salvatore Patino.
Here.
Brittany Clinton.
Here.
Keith Wilson.
Here.
Tasha Wilson.
Here.
Steve Winter. All right, and Rosalba Ledesma has joined. If you can just acknowledge that you're here. Rosalba, can you acknowledge that you're present in the meeting with a here? Okay. We also have George Edwards has joined. George, if you can acknowledge that you are here and present for the meeting.
George Edwards is here. Sorry I'm late.
That's all right. All right.
Amy, this is Rosalba. I think I heard you ask me, but I've changed the volume setting so I can hear better.
Okay. All right. The first item of business will be approval of the summary minutes from January. I'll need a motion to approve if there are no changes.
Motion. Tasha Wilson.
So moved. Jeremy Holderfield.
Okay, so I have
Second, Tasha Wilson.
okay. Again, we'll do a roll call vote for approval of the minutes. John Coyne, George Edwards. Yeah, you're on mute.
Yep, I approve. Sorry.
Bethany Good, Jeremy Holderfield.
I muted myself too quick. Approve.
Judy Hotchkiss.
I approve.
Amanda King. Rosalba Ledesma.
I approve.
Anton Musaf. I think I saw Anton approve. Salvatore Patino.
Approve.
Brittany Clinton.
Approve.
Keith Wilson.
Approved.
And Tasha Wilson.
Approve.
Wonderful. All right. The next item we have on the agenda is an update on public art from Kelly Bennett. So Kelly is a project planner in the Planning and Development Services Department, and he staffs the Public Art Commission. So I will turn it over. You should have sharing capabilities.
We can see, we can't hear.
There you go. Sorry about that. So I'm going to show you some projects that the Public Art Commission has done in 2020, and then follow up with a few projects that you'll see this year. So the first one for 2020 was the Fairgrounds Farmers Market mural. This was done by local artist Hieronymus. You may have seen some of his other murals around town. And did this one, it's on the side. If you're going up, I believe it's 26th Street. And it's the county, or the Winston-Salem Fairgrounds Farmers Market is in this building. And you can see this, and then another smaller mural on the other side, just kind of an accent mural. But he went really big, you know, told us in his interview that he'd love to just go, you know, we were only proposing to go up to the windows, and he said, if you let me, I'll just paint over the windows. I'll paint all the way to the top of the top of the roof line. And everybody liked that, and this is what he did. So. And then the other main project we did was artistic bus shelters. And this was a project to kind of engage local artists. We found that a lot of people wanted to do public art, but they didn't really have a lot of public art experience. And we wanted to kind of engage a lot of local people and give them a chance to kind of build up their portfolio and reach out to new people who we hadn't heard from before. This project really did that. So we did 12 bus shelters around the city. I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm just going to show you a couple, but you can see the rest around town or on our website. But we got some new people and some really good artwork. And what we did was we either scanned the artwork or the artists gave it to us digitally, and then we put it on vinyl and had them all installed by a professional company. So they should last a couple of years. And then if they're damaged, we'll have to take them down. But so far they look pretty good. This is one over by Winston-Salem State, Women of Winston-Salem, and it's vignettes of women in the community who did historic things. And then here's another one. This is off on Reynolds Park Road near the intersection with Waughtown. Some fine art photography. And then coming up in 2021, this has been a very big project for us. Winston-Salem Portrait Project. It's been in the works for a few years now, and it's a main sculpture downtown near where the Strollway Bridge is, kind of near the intersection of Liberty and First Streets. And then there's 8 other pieces of art that are kind of 2D replicas of pieces of this cube sculpture. And it has 59 people from across the city in portraits on the sculpture. So that's going to be unveiled April 10th. And another one that's being worked on now is at the Kernersville Library, and this should be unveiled this year. We don't have a date yet, but it's a limestone bench sculpture of a girl reading, and it's it's pretty sizable. You might not be able to tell, but this is like a regular sized bench over here. This is done by Madeline Weiner, and she lives in Colorado, and she carves these with chainsaws with diamond bits in them or something, and she does a beautiful job. And so this will be a nice interactive piece of art coming to Kernersville soon. And then we're working to restore the memory wall, which is on Trade Street behind the Transit Center. This is a picture from 2002, I believe. Looks a lot different now. All these bird sculptures have been knocked off. The paint's faded. There's a lot of grime in there. A lot of these hubcaps have been kind of bashed in. So we have a team who will be working to restore this year. They're gonna make replicas of these bird sculptures. We're getting some hubcaps to replace these. They're gonna repaint it, they're gonna wash it, and hopefully it'll look good for a while. And I don't know what your timeline looks like for today, but if you're interested, the Public Art Commission also worked on a public art plan, and that's going to be going to City Council, to committee in March, and hopefully to the full City Council in April. And I can show you a short presentation of that if you'd like. I'm not sure how much time you had allotted for me.
Well, you are the main attraction for this meeting, so you are more than welcome to talk about the public art master plan.
Okay, I will do that. Let's see. Let me. All right, hang on 1 second here. There you go. Okay. So this is going to be the short and sweet version of the public art plan. If you're interested in seeing more, you can go on the website, cityofws.org/publicart. So this is another project that's been in the works for a while. So the public art plan is going to set the agenda for the next 10 years of city and county public art investments. This was facilitated by the Public Art Commission, had a lot of good opportunities for citizen feedback. We did some meetings, and we did some online surveys and heard from a lot of people, and really consolidated this down to 5 goals and then project recommendations. So the plan gives a little background, an economic case for public art. Not only does it define a sense of place and create pride in our community and attract visitors, when you invest in public art, even when you're paying an artist who's not from Winston-Salem or from your community, a lot of that money still goes back into the community. There's still a lot of money spent on installation, building a base on a sculpture, things of that nature. And there's a study that's cited in here for budgets over $150,000 that's redistributed about 2/3 to 3/4 back into the local economy. And we've seen that even with the Winston-Salem Portrait Project. We've had 2 artists working on that project from New York, but the sculpture itself was built in King, actually, by a local local metal worker, and you know, a lot of that project has the physical roots in the community here. And just to show you kind of where we stand as a community that invests in public art, this is pre-COVID. The city was contributing about $55,000 a year to a budget. The county is funding on a project-by-project basis. And then you can see other cities have a larger budget and also more staff. I'm the main staff person for the Public Art Commission. It's part of my job. You can see equivalent cities, a lot of them anyway, have 1 or 2 staff people. And then perhaps more importantly is this percent for art column here. Percent for art is a funding mechanism that reserves 1% of capital expenditures, you know, money that's spent to improve parks and, you know, streetscape improvements, things like that. It reserves 1% of that budget for public art. And that really sets the stage for making sure that you have public art moving forward in your community. When you invest in your community, you're also getting public art as part of that. So a lot of these communities have percent for art. Winston-Salem and Forsyth County do not. Which brings us to the goals. Goal 1 is to include public art in future city and county investments, such as parks, libraries, recreation centers, greenways, and streetscape improvements. This is basically saying our first goal is to get a percent for art ordinance to fund public art in that way. Goal 2 is to increase public art funding. You know, I like to talk about how we have the future city, and that would be funded by a percent for art ordinance. Things don't exist yet, but we have an existing city that likes to call itself the City of Arts and Innovation and has, you know, a lot of need for public art in existing parks and greenways and libraries, etc. So that's the second goal. The third goal is to help foster a local public art economy that develops local artists, fabricators, and other related businesses. We have a lot of items in the plan that help do that, and we were already moving forward with those. You know, the bus shelter project is one example. We had a really successful workshop for that bus shelter project right at the beginning of March of 2020, right before everything shut down. But we had a lot of interested artists, and I think we once things get back to normal, I'd like to see a lot more of that. But we've had online workshops in the meantime, and we're working on a project with a local artist to design a sculpture downtown, and we kind of split the project up to be a design on one side and fabrication on the other, so that we could get more local people involved in that. Goal 4 is to raise community awareness of the city-county public art program. One way we're doing that is we're putting together a public art map that'll live online, that will have our public art projects there, and it will be readily accessible. And goal 5 is to care for and manage our growing public art collection. Something that wasn't, you know, really considered until, you know, we had this kind of older project, the Memory Wall, which was not a Public Art Commission project, but is nonetheless owned by the city, and it's more than 20 years old, and it's really showing its age. So as the program matures, this is going to be something that we're going to need to consider more and more for our projects. So public art projects for the next decade, at current staffing and pre-COVID funding levels, we could probably complete about 12 to 15 projects over the next 10 years. And then with the recommended larger budget and percent for art, we could easily increase to 25 to 30. That's probably even an under promise. Just the way the bond projects move forward and things like that. I think we could probably do more, but you know, there are slowdowns here and there, so we don't want to overpromise. Public art projects for the next decade, you know, we highlight a number in the plan, and they're all over the city and the county, you know, downtown, and they're not limited to downtown, but you know, parks and greenways, community gateways. You know, you could honor significant people and other public facilities and have other special projects such as bus stops, which is something that we're looking into, not just decorating bus shelters, but making sculptural bus stops. So the plan started coming together in 2018. We had a good bit of outreach in 2019 and then drafted the plan last year, and Public Art Commission recommended adoption in October. And given how COVID has affected our economy and budgets and everything like that, we're now going to City Council in the coming months. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are you optimistic about your funding when you go to the city council?
I'm not sure. I've stalled this long enough. I've not been optimistic in the thick of COVID, but with numbers coming down, vaccines going in arms, and hopefully, you know, a very big COVID relief package helping state and local governments, I'm more optimistic than I was 6 months ago, that's for sure.
That's good to hear.
Any other questions?
When you showed the budget a few minutes ago, or the comparison to other cities in the Southeast, am I remembering correctly that the largest one was still under $300,000?
Well, it's kind of misleading. So there's two budgets. There's the percent for art.
Okay, I don't know what that would be, so.
Which can really fluctuate year in and year out. It kind of depends on the capital expenditures. You know, in a year where you build a new convention center, it's going to be a lot higher than, you know, the year before when you didn't spend $60 million or something like that. So those numbers were really hard to get. And then you have the public art budget, which is the year-to-year line item that really does help get those projects for, you know, your parks and other libraries and things like that, and murals up. A place like Knoxville has this $230,000 budget. However, you know, it's kind of outsourced to contracted with the Arts and Cultural Alliance. I guess it's your Arts Council of Knoxville, and they have one part-time person there. So it's kind of difficult to kind of get these projects organized. That's why they're doing 1 to 3 a year at the same time.
How do we compare against places like Asheville and Wilmington, other Fayetteville, perhaps other cities would be more in our league size-wise?
Here, I have another, let me see. got the plan here, and I have a bigger version of this chart so I could show you. So this is the bigger version of that chart. It doesn't quite fit on a slide as easily. Asheville has a percent for art program and a public art budget of about $40,000. And they're also working on just like one person who does a lot of other jobs. But they used to have a full-time person. So they've kind of scaled back. Let's see, Raleigh has one full-time and one part-time person, and they have a bigger budget. They're also a bigger city. Mm-hmm. And then who else were we looking at? Oh, Wilmington. Wilmington, I don't think has a program. I think that's why they're not on here. I think they might. Their Arts Council equivalent organization does some public art, but I don't think the city itself.
The Arts Council there got geared up I used to live there, geared up a few years ago and did pull off several nice public art projects downtown. Mm-hmm. But I was just curious, I don't remember the city putting money into it.
Yeah, I think that's the case.
Okay.
Hey, Kelly, is there any public art associated with the new county courthouse that's coming?
We have talked about it with them. It's something that they'd like to see. The county kind of does things a little differently than the city when it comes to funding public art. They talk to us ahead of time, see what's possible, and then when they fund a lot of the amenities for their projects with naming rights and donations. So like with the Central Library, they have reading rooms maybe and things like that where they have naming rights. You could donate X number of dollars, and then they paid for the main sculpture outside with the donated money. And I think they're waiting for the courthouse to be close to being built or close to being completed, and so their budget cost situation is known down to the tens of dollars maybe before they say we have X budget for public art. But yeah, they'd like to do it.
All right, are there any other questions?
I have one. This is Sal. Is there, and this is more like a larger question and maybe like a future thing, but I know certain cities, if there is public funding going into a project, they put stipulations that public art has to be included. I know the city of Tempe and Phoenix used to do that, where if any project got public money, they had to include art in some way. And it's not always done very nicely, but is that something that maybe in the future we can work in? We
have one recommendation that's similar to that in here. Let me see. Yeah, research, well, this would be more downtown centric, but it's research ordinance and code changes that could fund public art as part of new development over a certain cost threshold downtown. So it's similar, it's not where public money is coming in, but we have a lot of affordable housing tied to public funding. So I think, they'd want to keep it more one flavor of requirement for the public funding, but that could be possible. Anybody, any other questions? All right, well, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly.
And I will see you all soon. Thanks a lot.
All right. Moving on to committee reports. I did have a project submitted right before this meeting for the March TAPR. It is for improvements to North Forsyth High School. I didn't really get a chance to look into detail what type of projects or improvements will be made, but I will be sending that out. Education awards, we didn't meet, and we haven't really met in a while. And then trees and woodlands, we didn't meet in February, but the next meeting will be March 11th to help start planning Roots Day. And that meeting will be virtual as well. And the TAPR meeting will be March 10th, and that will be virtual as well. And then the Gateways Committee, that project is pretty much just on hold until we can start meeting in person again at hopefully some point in the summer. That's all I can really say about that. Hopefully at some point in the summer we can start meeting again to wrap up that project. I will say that if folks are interested in joining a committee that they're not involved with yet, please let me know so I can add you to the distribution list, particularly for projects, for committees like TAPR, where I send out information. Just want to make sure that y'all are in that email loop. So if you're interested in being on one of those committees, please let me know.
I just submitted an application for the new term.
Okay, good. And then that's all I have for committee reports. Keith, do you have a official report at your last meeting?
I don't have an official report, but I just wanted to thank the committee for all their hard work and thank all the staff, especially you, Amy. I've said this before, but I just want to go on record to say that this committee would not be able to function without all of your dedication and hard work, and I really do appreciate it. It's been an interesting 6 years. The last one has been a little stranger than I expected. But overall, I've enjoyed the experience and getting to know the people on the committee and the staff members, and I sure do appreciate everything you've done. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Old business with Keith rotating off and Mona resigning her position a couple months ago. We need to select new officers. We had a little ad hoc committee meeting a couple weeks ago, and that committee decided that would like to recommend Anton for the chair and Tasha for the vice chair. Is there any discussion, or would anybody like to, throw their hat in or anything like that? If there is, speak now. If not, I'll take a motion to approve Anton for chair and Tasha for vice chair.
This is Judy, so moved.
I'll second that motion.
All All right, and I'll have to do a roll call vote. John Coyne is not here. George Edwards.
I approve.
Anthony Good's not here. Jeremy Holderfield.
I approve.
Judy Hotchkiss.
Approve.
Amanda King is not here. Rosalba Ledesma.
Approve.
Anton Musaf.
Approve.
Salvador Patino.
Approve.
Brittany Clinton.
Approve.
Keith Wilson.
Approve.
Tasha Wilson.
Approve.
And then Steve Winter is not here. Right, so congrats to our new officers.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations.
And with appointments, with Keith's position coming to an end and Mona's position also open, we have 2 positions for city appointments. One categorical, which requires planning, design, historic preservation, landscape architecture background and experience, and one non-categorical position, which is open to the general public. The only requirement for city appointments is that you do have to live within the city limits. And if you know anyone who's interested, or if you're watching at home and you're interested in participating, you can submit an application to the city clerk, or you can actually go online to the city's website, which is cityofws.org, and you can fill out an online application there. We also are going to have county appointments available. We still have one position currently open. That was Kyle Troxell's position. That still needs to be filled. And then we will have technically 3 positions opening. Obviously, Anton has submitted for his to be reappointed to serve another term. Both Steve Winter and Jeremy Holderfield have decided not to seek another term, so those 2 positions will be open, and I believe those 2 are categorical. For any folks who are interested in participating, you'll need to go to the county website, which is forsyth.cc, and there's a link right on the right-hand side that says volunteer appointments, and you can click on that and then click on follow the links to the Community Appearance Commission. And that deadline for county submittals is March 10th, I believe. Yes, March 10th. So that is all I have for old business. We don't have any new business. I would like just to say, Steve's not on the call, but I know Jeremy's on the call, and obviously Keith. So thank you, for participating and giving your time to this commission and volunteering to be a partner to it. This commission does not run without partners and volunteers, so I do thank you. And I know it is, with our hectic lives and kids and everything else going on, it is a time commitment. So I do appreciate it, and I just wanted to make sure that I thank you all for that.
And thank you, Amy, and I really look forward to continue working with all of you.
Hey, on town, we expect big things.
All right. Does anybody have anything else that they would like to add for the good of the order? All right. Can I get a motion to adjourn if there's nothing else to discuss?
So moved.
All right. And we are adjourned. I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their week and weekend. And I will be sending out information to the Chief of Care Committee next week. So thank you.
Good.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy.